threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
You want me to say something?
I couldn't think of what to say.
How's the weather today?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's the thing. I when we're starting, I don't think about anything until like the last second. And I'm like, why? I should be ready to say something.
I know, me too.
You know what I mean?
Me
but
too.
like it's the very last second. I'm just like listening to music.
I'm always like, I'm going to talk over him, so I'll just stay quiet.
Yeah. Well, neither of us said anything, so that went well.
Was dumb.
But how was the weather out there today coming in?
Well, it's a little chilly. It's kind of warm in here now with my jacket on.
Oh, you can take it off if you want.
I don't want to.
Okay.
But yeah,
There's no rules.
Let's talk about weather.
Let's do it.
Because weather's getting crazy. I mean, we're already seeing that.
Yeah.
It's like lots more tornadoes, hurricane every day.
Yeah. Hurricane a day.
No rain here like usual.
Oh, yeah. I wish that would change.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And it might. Yeah. And maybe.
Fingers crossed.
But yeah, so as a prepper, obviously, one of the most common fears that we have are like weather. Because
I think it's spiders.
It can change
That's
at
the most
any
common
point.
fear.
We haven't talked about spiders.
Oh, we
so
haven't
we should
really,
do that. Arachnophobia.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's getting more extreme. And as we try and counter it, we could possibly make it worse.
Yeah, that's true. Huh?
And so today we're going to talk about the risks of extreme weather and climate engineering. Because we're still talking, this is episode 7 of The Future of Survival.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about like what new modern tech is being used, geoengineering, to kind of help the weather and control the climate, good and bad.
Yeah, who knows?
So how do you prepare for that as a prepper? And we're going to talk about that, like what the next 25 years might bring for extreme weather, real world trials and risks with geoengineering. Not all good.
No.
And then how do you prep for those natural disasters and these nightmares that could occur because of us, meddling with it?
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything specific and more advanced that we can use as preppers? We're going to talk about that too.
I'm excited about this.
Not really.
I'm excited about this.
I am
Cam.
too, because like weather stuff is kind of fascinating.
Yeah. You know what else I'm
I feel
excited
like we
about?
should completely be controlling it now, like the
I know.
Truman Show.
Like, at what point do we get there? Come
I
on,
don't know.
guys.
Probably going to happen.
What are we working on if we're not working on that?
What are we working on, to be honest with you?
Even know. Internet stuff?
Spending a ton of money to save money?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I do get BattleBox, though. It is the
it's
monthly
straightforward.
subscription box full of solid gear for adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, and casual preppers. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection of hand-picked outdoor survival and everyday carry gear, all valued at far more than what you'd normally pay. You never know what's in the next box, but here's a sampling of what users received this month. The FlexTail Max Shower Rechargeable Outdoor Shower. Pretty cool.
That is cool.
Pure Bag Bladder to replace the bladder you got. New one. All this badassness starts at just $34.99 per month. They've shipped over 1 million boxes, and they won Best Subscription Box of 2020. Our listeners get 15% off when you sign up at battlebox.com/casualpreppers. Get your first BattleBox and 15% off at battlebox.com/casualpreppers.
Yes. A lot of my weather protection stuff came from BattleBox.
You ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying. So let's kick things off a little bit by painting a picture of what the next couple of decades might look like when it comes to wild weather. Wild weather. Wild weather. And it's kind of really a mixed bag of things. We're going to talk about heat waves and floods and deep freezes and all the cool stuff.
It's going to be like menopause for everybody.
Delicious.
Hot, wet, cold, freezing.
And that's just by 9 a.m.
Exactly.
But what are the experts saying? And here's the whole thing about this, you
What are you
guys.
saying?
Well,
The wind's blowing.
yeah, that's exactly what a expert weather person sounds like. So what? And I want to preface a lot of this by saying, look, we don't know if climate change is real. We don't know if it's man-made.
This is a hot topic for some people.
It's a warming topic for sure. But I don't want people to get triggered here.
Yeah.
It's going to be part of the conversation because
It ain't happening.
yeah, no, there's no weather ever nowhere. Nothing. You lying sons of bees.
I'm done. This is the last podcast I'm listening
Donald
to.
Trump said no weather ever, nothing. I only like
The
Dick.
best weather ever is coming.
Yeah. But yeah. And again,
Sorry, threw you
I
off.
love Donald. I hate Donald. There you go. Pissed everybody off
Good
right
things,
now.
bad things.
Yeah, all this stuff. Who was our former president? I don't even remember his name anymore.
He didn't remember either.
Yeah, he doesn't remember either. There, pissed everybody off in 5 seconds.
Yeah, now we're real mad.
Now let's get rolling now that we riled you all up. So look, if we don't change much, the planet is on track to heat up at least 1.5 degrees Celsius.
Doesn't sound like much.
I don't even know what Celsius means, but if we go
Delicious drink.
I know. If we go to Fahrenheit, that's 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is by 2050.
It really doesn't seem like that much.
I mean, 2.7 degrees, that's nothing. You wouldn't
No.
even notice it.
I
in
wouldn't
here.
even notice it.
But over the entire Earth, you will notice. And that's by 2050. So that's in 25 years. That's in 25 years. Again, like Cam said, it doesn't sound like much, but it really is a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that we're talking like heat waves, stronger storms, ecosystems starting to get all jacked up, all the
Hot tubs.
hot tubs are like super hot tubs. Cold plungers are even colder.
Oh, yeah.
It's just ice now. You're just sitting on a
That's
block of
what's
ice.
so weird that there can be like colder events as you're heating.
Yeah,
Don't make no dang sense.
Climate wild, science crazy. Okay. And like for those near the coasts or the people who like to vacation there, brace yourself, fool, because the NOAA expects sea levels along the U.S. coastlines to rise about 10 to 12 inches in 25 years.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, take it with a grain of salt.
It
'cause they
goes
said
from your
this stuff-
ankle to your knee. That's a lot.
That's some movement.
That's a
It
lot.
really is. Your entire long socks are wet now. But again, take it with a grain of salt because he said a lot of these things earlier. Remember in the 90s when we were young kids, we thought we were all going to be burnt to death like Terminator
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
just from the sun and the ozone layer being gone.
It's true.
But they are saying these things. This is what the best scientists in the world are saying. That means like a lot
But
more.
we should be proactive.
We should, yes. That means more coastal flooding, storm surges reaching further inland. I mean, we're gonna storm surges all the way into Utah at some point, probably, right? Some places will get hotter and drier. Extreme heat waves, drought. Others could see stronger storms or even colder winters, thanks to this jet stream that's all messed up. So prepping becomes a bit more complicated if the weather continues to act up like it is.
That's why I built a greenhouse,
That's
man.
why Cam built a greenhouse.
Can't grow anything out here.
No.
It's like you plant it, it freezes.
Yeah.
And then when you get it planted, it gets scorched like the
Yep.
next day. I'm like, I can't do this.
It's too hard. Growing stuff's hard, Cam.
It
So
is.
let's look at some extreme weather scenarios. What are some things that could actually happen here? And this gets me all
These
excited.
words are great.
I love them. Megastorms and
Megastorms.
hyper hurricanes.
Wow.
So, like when the oceans warm up, Cam,
It's like a
is
distracted hurricane, like
yeah.
moving around real quick.
Yeah, exactly. Can't sit down. Warmer oceans, it's like jet fuel for hurricanes. Like the warmer they get, the worse these hurricanes get. So scientists are like, look, man, we're going to have a bunch of Category 4 and Category 5 storms, more than we've ever had. They're going to be bigger, stronger, faster, harder.
Bigger.
Yeah. Plus, they could travel further inland. I mean, watch out,
Might have a
Iowa.
hurricane in Utah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So hitting places that don't normally have to worry about hurricanes. We're going to have flash flooding. We're going to have atmospheric rivers, Cameron.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so for every 1 degree Celsius, again, for us normal people, that's 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. That the planet warms, the atmosphere can hold 7% more water. Did you know that, Cam?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the warmer it gets, the more water it can hold. This means when the storms hit, boy, you're getting
We're
wet.
swimming around in the
It's
air.
just like, yeah, we're going to be fish soon, all of us. So it's going to be dumping a lot more water in more sudden downpours, more flash floods, and there's going to be storms called atmospheric rivers.
Jeez.
This is basically
Just going to look like Miller's Planet.
rivers in the sky. Yeah,
Big waves.
That's all it is.
This is going to be water.
And we're all going to be dead. Gonna be more drought and heat waves. So a lot of places are going to start to dry up. Reservoirs are going to shrink. Wildfire risks are going to go higher. Like we need that.
Oh, seriously.
Heat waves are going to get longer and hotter and heavier.
Ugh.
A little sweatier.
No thanks.
All those things. And we're already seeing this in places like the American Southwest. I don't know why anyone lives there.
I don't either.
It is what it is. You guys are crazy. Polar vortex collapses. Polar vortex. Arctic warming messes with the jet stream and letting cold Arctic air plunge south. That's why we sometimes get these really brutal, unexpected deep freezes. Like out of nowhere, everything's frozen. And that's even as the entire planet is warming. So that's like what Cam says. Like it's a crazy little schizophrenic weather system when everything gets warm. So there's
Very
also
ADHD. That's crazy.
Swarm storms. Say that 10 times fast, Cam.
Storms.
Yeah.
That's it.
Microburst clusters. I'd eat those. They sound good, don't they?
Yeah.
Micro bursting with flavor.
This is delicious.
I know. Man,
Somebody's gonna make money off.
We're coming up with ideas today. We were coming
That's
up
what
with
I said.
apps
Like
before
I love the terminology for
great.
these crazy storms.
So that's like instead of one big tornado, like the mother of all tornadoes, you get dozens of like 50 to 100 mile an hour microbursts that just like plow across the region in a single
I feel like
thunderstorm.
that happens already.
It feels like it does, huh?
Like you just boom, and then half your fence is down. Just double that.
Exactly. How about thaw-driven methane burps? Cam.
I don't want that.
I've had these before.
I take a medicine to stop
this
that.
is why I don't go to Taco Bell no more. So like Arctic thaw, it releases trapped methane from the seafloor cathrates and thermokarst lakes.
Wow.
You ever had a thermokarst? You ever been to a thermokarst lake?
Now
They're fun. This causes localized heat spikes and
thermokarst.
even spontaneous fires on water surfaces.
All right.
Having a thermokarst right there.
Got microburst clusters in my pants. Methane burps.
That was a thaw-driven
Something's
methane
going on
burps.
my intestinal tract.
Been a little off this week.
I like the methane burps. Man.
I know. So why is this getting worse? Well, permafrost temperatures are rising fastest globally. Tipping points for abrupt methane release could arrive within 20 years.
Sheesh.
So that's something to look forward to. You got that? And you also got old age. So that's going to be fun. So what are the best case versus worst case scenarios here? So in the current if the current warming is largely part of like this, a natural oscillation of climate. And that's the whole thing. Like a lot of people say it's global warming because it's man-made. A lot of people say, no, it's just a natural cycle.
Yeah.
Mother
Earth's just trying to kill everybody off. Start over.
I ain't here to tell you which one it is.
Yeah.
Okay. But if it is
Don't you go there.
Don't you dare, you Democrat son of a bee. You stupid Republican son of a
piece
sucker.
of trash.
Yeah. But if it is part of that.
Wiping oil off from his face. I don't know.
Exactly.
We live in an oil town. We can't.
Yeah, we love
be
the oil.
cast out.
We love the oil. The next phase could see a natural leveling off or slight cooling, even without dramatic emission cuts. So, best case, that's great. In this scenario, really investing in resilient infrastructure like flood defenses and heat-tolerant crops and off-grid power and all that stuff, it really does still pay off because extreme swings, both hot and cold, remain on the table regardless of what the CO2 output is, right? Worst case scenario. Here we go, Cam. If a natural warming cycle aligns with ongoing greenhouse gas increases, we could exceed the 2 degree plus Celsius relative to pre-industrial baselines, triggering intense heat waves, megastorms, and water scarcity events.
That's bad.
I ain't looking forward to anything like that. So, like, even if the humans are the primary driver, feedback loops like the methane burps, from permafrost thawing, and then the ocean currents shifting, and everything. It's really going to amplify these temperature swings, and preppers really should prepare for either a natural peak or the compounded like crazy town thing, right? So that is the lay of the land for probably the next 25 years. Could get worse, could not be so bad. We don't know.
Yeah.
But as preppers, we need to be looking.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
We're just telling you to keep an eye out.
Yeah. So as preppers, that's why we're doing this whole series. We want to look forward to all the crazy
Worst
things.
case, right?
Yeah.
That's usually what
next
we look
25
at.
years.
Positive thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, is there any way that we could possibly, buffer that, like reduce some of these events? And that particular method is called geoengineering. It's the intentional large-scale manipulation of Earth's environment to counteract the effects of human-caused climate change.
This sounds like
Geoengineering.
this sounds like a dangerous game.
I don't know anybody that's doing any geoengineering. Do you?
I know
Is there
quite a few
program,
people.
like community college.
I know a lot of people. Not one of them said anything about geoengineering.
No, there should be a lot more people involved in this.
I think so too. I don't know. It feels like a dangerous game.
It does.
Right?
It does.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Should we really be doing this?
Yeah, true. Yeah, it might be career suicide.
Yeah.
But several methods.
Or earth suicide.
Or yeah. Oof suicide.
Oof suicide. Yeah.
But there are several methods to be considered that are actually being considered and even in use now to kind of counteract these extreme events. So one of those options is carbon dioxide removal. Sounds pretty straightforward, right?
Sure.
Just get rid of the carbon dioxide.
Okay.
So what ways can you do that? There's a particular method called the direct air capture and carbon storage, or the DACs. DACs. So machines basically, the air is captured and the machines scrub the CO2, sucking it out, storing it in underground facilities, like specific kind of rock that it can actually be trapped in.
Rock?
So it's like push it into rock. I don't know how they do it.
Weird.
Probably more like a broken up, ground up rock, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I always think like sucking the existing carbon dioxide. Do you remember on Spaceballs when they put that vacuum on the atmosphere?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's probably what they're building. Giant
sounds like
vacuum. But yeah, new tech is being used to achieve this, where they can draw the CO2 out, scrub it, store it somewhere else, reducing the levels overall.
Right.
Other methods to do so are an enhanced weathering technique. So increasing natural rock powders that accelerate natural CO2 uptake. So they do that anyway. Certain rock powders, particularly basalt and other silicate rocks, can be used to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through a process called enhanced rock weathering.
What?
So yeah. This involves spreading finely ground rock dust onto agricultural land or other areas, which reacts with rainwater, absorbing CO2, effectively trapping it in the soil.
What? That's weird.
So instead of plants taking it,
Yeah.
the ground and the soil and the different... So,
Don't the plants like it?
Huh?
Right? The plants like it, right?
the plants
CO2.
like it, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's too much of it.
Is there?
They can't gobble up enough,
I guess.
I guess.
Plant more plants.
So basically, it's just like big bags of like oxygen absorbers, but they're CO2 absorbers. Lay them all over the place.
Lay them on the farm.
So yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Another one is artificial ice reflectors.
Yeah.
So these artificial ice reflectors, they typically reflect, they're reflective materials often used on ice surfaces or specific environments that help reduce the amount of sunlight or other light that penetrates the ice, potentially delaying its melting or affecting its formation.
So is that why we're buying all the emergency blankets?
Exactly.
Just in
They're
case.
just going to cover all of the glaciers with emergency blankets.
That makes sense.
I mean, it's essentially what it's doing, but with chemicals.
Yeah.
I don't know, like sprinkling a bunch of chemicals on all of the ice sounds pretty sketchy.
Again, yeah. Are we helping or hurting here?
It
I don't
sounds
know.
Very harmful.
Yeah.
But a common example is to use the use of silica spheres sprinkled on young ice.
Well, this ice ain't very old.
Baby ice.
That's an underage icicle right there. You better be careful.
He's grown pretty big. Sprinkle some of that.
You shouldn't be messing around with them underage
And
icicles.
now, like, how do they do this?
I don't
Are they
know.
just like dropping it by airplane, or he's got dog sledge like open the bag.
Got a guy with a bucket.
Yeah,
Just walking around Antarctica.
like the salt stuff they throw on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
I don't know. This
Got
is
one of them spreaders like on your lawn.
reflecting the sun.
Yeah.
Just glitter.
Yeah, whatever works.
It'll work. But yeah, so
We
they do
love
that
this.
to kind of reflect the sunlight back so that it doesn't
Yeah.
melt the ice.
Weird.
Another method is, boosting the phytoplankton to absorb greenhouse gases.
That's what I would have thought right at first. You
Just
would've done.
why don't you just do that?
Why don't we get more phytoplankton out here?
Yeah.
Come on.
So grow
Yeah.
more plants seems a little bit more
That's-
smart for Earth
That just seems like
than sprinkling chemicals everywhere.
Earth would like that better. More plants, less glitter.
Get this phytoplankton out of here.
Why you got so much phytoplankton?
So yeah, good methods. They sound some of them don't sound like
phytoplankton. Charles have go make the earth a little colder. Haven't done a little Charles have go in a while.
bowl of phytoplankton this morning.
Had a bowl of glitter and with some phytoplankton on the side. Charles have go.
Give me some of those clusters. And put them in there.
Oh, better thing burp's going.
Yeah. Had 2 small steaks of penguin.
Had penguin steaks for breakfast. Charles, how good as your service?
Don't sprinkle that crap around here.
You'll go get you a bowl of phytoplankton. Shut
Get that
the hell
silk
up, boy.
out of here, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another method of geoengineering is solar radiation management. That sun is cooking us. So some way we need to reflect it, deflect it, whatever. So this method focuses on reflecting a small percentage of the sun's energy back into space. Take it back. We don't want it.
Too much light.
Yeah. So what methods are used to do this? One of them is called marine cloud brightening.
Oh, yeah.
This sounds so like, this sounds very liberal. Marine cloud brightening.
Very liberal. Yeah.
Spray tiny particles. These particles are usually made up of sea salt, about 1/700th of the width of a human hair.
That's tiny.
Don't even know how they make them. And they're sprayed into...
We don't even know if they're actually there, but we say they are. Yeah.
No, I'm spraying it.
That's $4,000 for this bottle.
It's a super tiny little small particle of salt. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's either that or glitter on the ice. You tell me what you want to do.
Which one looks better? But yeah, so these super fine particles, they act as seeds, causing more water droplets to form in the clouds.
What?
Clouds with more smaller droplets are much better at reflecting sunlight. You know, when you're out there laying in the lawn, cloud goes over, it feels so much better.
I don't lay on the
So if you
lawn.
can create more clouds like that, then you can block some of that sunlight
So we're just
radiation.
making clouds.
Basically, is what
Cloud
it is.
making.
Cloud making.
Okay.
The more attractive is called marine cloud brightening.
How do you do it?
Those you got to spray that stuff in the air.
You just jump real high and
Yeah.
spray it?
Yeah.
What do you say?
I'm guessing it's shot into the air or dropped by an
So
airplane.
cannons.
Guess I didn't look and see.
That's
how
a
they do
cloud cannon right there. Watch out.
it. Yeah, don't look at it.
Don't step in front of my cloud cannon. Charles have
Could
good, not
you?
afraid of no cannons.
Cloud cannon, regular cannon, I don't care.
I'll stick a penguin in that cannon any day of the week.
Yeah. So one of the studies is called Scopex, where it was called particle injection, similar to what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Scopex was a planned small-scale scientific experiment to learn more about how injecting tiny particles into the upper atmosphere. Again, I don't know exactly how, but they were going to do it.
Yeah.
That could potentially
Harp.
reflect sunlight and cool the earth. It was not intended to be. It was not intended to be a deployment of geoengineering, but rather a research effort, so they say. Pissed people off, got canceled, so they haven't really studied this particularly.
Okay.
But it is something that they believe would work.
Okay.
Shoot some particles up in there, let it reflect the sunlight. Just look like Portland, Oregon all the time.
Yeah.
Covered in clouds. The other thing is massive space-based reflectors. So just build a huge umbrella, or something similar to reflect sunlight.
Okay.
That would be way cool looking.
Sure.
Or just have it open like a sun visor.
Yeah.
Just something.
Exactly.
You want sun? I'll get you some sun.
There you go.
But who controls that?
I don't know. Not me, I'll tell you that.
No. So that's some interesting stuff.
Taylor
to kind of
Swift,
reduce,
probably.
Probably. The Taylor Swift sun visor. Covers everywhere.
Covers everything.
Plays music and protects you. Yeah, and then you can just go to the old trusty cloud seeding.
Yeah.
And this has been happening for a long time, and it happens today.
Right now.
How many times did you say it's been used?
200 times in Utah
That's
in a
crazy.
year.
Yeah. So cloud seeding introduces tiny particles, usually silver iodide or salt, into clouds that already have moisture. These added particles give the water vapor more surfaces to condense or freeze onto, and then more water ice builds onto these particles. Then you get some rainfall
Or snow.
or snowfall.
That's why we got the
That's
greatest
usually
snow on
snowpack,
Earth.
right? Yeah, exactly. Greatest snow created in the cloud seeding. Yep. We should have a license plate that says that.
Be cool.
Cloud seeding and another guy skiing. Sounds cool.
It does sound cool.
But yeah, multiple states use this now for snowpack programs. That's cool. Kinda.
Kind of.
The effectiveness and concerns, plus 5 to 15% precipitation, but
Not bad.
long-term impacts and water rights disputes, right?
Oh, okay.
These are my clouds.
That was my water you put in there.
The other thing is, I read too, is like kind of unpredictable. Like you shoot it up into there and that cloud may not develop until it's in another state. It's like, well,
Nebraska's like, screw you guys.
we've had multiple floods and we don't got anything.
We don't even have snow over here.
So trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So there's risks,
Yeah.
and I mentioned some, but the geoengineering aims to address the symptoms of climate change, but it doesn't solve the root cause, which is us.
Like a doctor.
Certain things that we need to
Yeah.
do. Right. Why prevent? Prevention is the solution, always.
Sure.
Stop driving so much. Don't belch out loud, nasty fumes, farting, all that stuff.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yep. But yeah, these large scale interventions have potential risks of uncertainties for the environment and human societies. You don't want silver iodide coming down on you all
Not
the time.
necessarily.
Who knows what's going to happen?
I don't think so.
But yeah, the other risks, weaponized precipitation.
Yeah.
We know that we've used cloud seeding for this very purpose. In Vietnam, Project Popeye was to increase or extend the monsoon season.
Wow.
So it's already been used that way.
Yeah.
Who's to say it's not being used again for this?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people believe that all the flash floods and stuff are probably a result from governments tweaking this whole system.
The government.
The government.
Potato salad.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Weaponizing precipitation, that's powerful, man.
Well, and they can even put like corrosive or toxic aerosols within those clouds
Oh, yeah.
to make it rain like acid rain, basically.
Every other seed bullet
Yeah.
is full of
Exactly.
chemicals.
Yeah, you never know. Don't stick your tongue out.
Yeah, that one's a cloud, that one's a cloud, that one's a sterilization cloud.
Yeah. You'll never have a baby.
Yeah. But it's super concerning
Yeah.
because, like, who monitors all this?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Weather master. Who's that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing is a thing called volcanic winter backfire.
Yeah.
A large-scale solar radiation management, the trial, which was sulfate injection or marine cloud brightening, where it overshoots, actually. You're trying to control temperatures, and it actually plunges temperatures 2 to 3 degrees, which would screw up all the growing seasons,
Yeah.
wreak all kinds of havoc.
Could be bad.
Planned pilots in the next decade carry high uncertainty. Doing these things to try and prevent worsening of the weather could potentially cause
Yeah.
enormous, big-time side
Is
effects.
the cure worse than the disease
Yeah.
type thing?
It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Dude,
getting
that's
colder.
crazy.
This is perfect. It's what we wanted. Now it's freezing, and now everything's disrupted. So.
Exactly. The scary stuff.
Interesting stuff. I didn't know a
Yeah.
lot of that was happening.
No.
I only knew of the cloud seeding. I didn't know they were sprinkling salts on the ice to
No, I didn't
prevent
either.
the baby ice from
didn't
melting.
either.
No one knew that.
It is scary stuff, but you know what else is scary? Electrolyte deficiencies. Because they can cause headaches, cramps, fatigue, and weakness. And as people want to be prepared and ready for anything, the last thing you need is something that will slow you down when you need to be ready the most. That's why we at Casual Preppers have teamed up with Element. It is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. We think Element is perfect for bug-out bags and EDC kits because it contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, and just taste off the charts. Right, Cam? Casual Preppers listeners can get a free Element sample pack when you make any purchase through our exclusive Casual Preppers link. That is one packet of every flavor every time you order. Not just the first time. Every time. You just have to use our link. That is drinkelement.com/casual preppers. Get your order and your free sample pack. That's drinklmnt.com/casual preppers. Also, one other thing on this, they have a new flavor for the summer.
So I just drank it right now. It is incredible.
Lemonade salt, quickly becoming my favorite.
It just shot to my favorite instantly.
Ooh, so good.
It's
You've
the best
got
one
to
I've
go
had.
try it. Yeah, it almost like it's not quite as salty.
It's a better balance, I think.
Yeah, it's like a perfect balance.
All of them are perfect.
Yeah, they really are.
But this one is my favorite.
Go get it.
Maybe I'm
guys.
just sick because I've drank gallons upon gallons of the other stuff.
I know. All right, so now that we know weather's only getting wilder, whether it's natural cycles or it's human tinkering, whatever it is, how do we actually prepare for it? And a lot of this is very basic stuff that we've talked about a lot of times, but it's worth going over quickly here. If it's, we're getting into extreme droughts and heat, water is the most important thing. Pretty much in all these situations, but more so in a heat situation or a drought situation, obviously. So stock all on that water. You got to have tanks, you got to have barrels, you got to have bottles, all that stuff. But you also have to have filtration. You have to way to purify and filter water because you got to have both options there. You also need to keep your home and your shelter cool. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. I don't really want to go over those because some of them are kind of dumb, but some of them really do work. There's some ways that you can increase airflow and shading and all those types of things to really help you cool down your home without power. So
yeah, boring stuff.
That.
Most people have looked into it, right?
Yeah, but consider those things, right?
For sure.
And then when the ground dries up, hydroponics and like vertical gardens, they're going to be pretty much the only way you're going to be able to grow anything. So they use less, water overall, but they can still grow some food. So think about that. And
that's why it's like every spring I'm always motivated to do like more, like get into more like hydroponics and do that stuff. It's a huge process, but learning about it's a good idea now.
For sure. Why not? And how about if you live in a flood-prone area, or you might be living in one soon thanks to these rising seas? Raise your foundation, set up sandbag barriers, all those things. Install flood vents and smart drainage on your property.
How's the drainage?
Yeah. Think of it as, basically steering water around your home instead of like through your living room sort of thing.
True.
Good thing to think about. You can also build yourself a waterproof storm kit here. Throw in emergency radios, backup power banks, sealed gear bags, waterproof bags.
That's cool
nice
stuff,
to
man.
have. Yeah. And,
I like that
if you're in a flood prone area, that's a really good thing to think
you can watch
about.
all of your gear float away.
You can watch it float away.
Dang it.
But it won't be wet.
Somebody's going to love that down the river.
And obviously, don't forget the basics like food and meds and all those types of things. And number one thing is you have to have an emergency plan in these places. Have a flood zone evacuation route mapped out, know where the shelters are, and bug out plans still very much matter in all these scenarios. Some things that could be happening, even though we're talking about the world getting warmer, is extreme cold and winter grid down scenarios, right? We've seen those polar vortexes come into Texas and just like wipe out the grid, right? So you have to be ready for those things. How do you keep your house warm there? You might have to have wood stoves or propane heaters or thermal blankets and all of those types of things ready to roll. You want to keep your food and water insulated so it's not like an icicle, everything you want to eat. That's not good. Emergency heat sources that don't rely on the grid, propane, wood, kerosene, all of those things need to be a part of that if cold weather is the thing that you're worrying about. Wildfire.
Man, wasn't it just like Spain and Portugal lost power completely?
Yeah,
Two full countries.
Yeah.
Like, that's like this stuff is
ATMs
happening.
went down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's kinda
the
crazy.
weather would like magnify all of it.
And we're still unsure about why that happened. But anyways, crazy
Government.
stuff. Government, potato salad. Wildfire and smoke preparedness. If fire season is the thing where you live, and it's like most likely most places have fire seasons now, defensible space landscaping is very key. Clearing the brush, using fire-resistant roofing if you can, adding ember guards on vents, all of those things very good to do. And also have gear to be able to breathe with all of that smoke, N95 mask with HEPA filters and all of those things. And you can even set up like those sealed clean rooms in your home where you can filter the air and all that kind of stuff on those really bad smoke days because that stuff is bad for your lungs.
We
man.
get it all the time.
Yeah.
Every freaking year, like a month and a half at least,
Yep.
is just smoke.
And it'll stick down, and we'll get an inversion in here, and it'll all just stick. It's like, ugh.
Your underwear rides.
Or
Anyway,
cracky or whatever. And how about solar storms and grid collapse? Because look, a Carrington-style coronal mass ejection.
Oof, I haven't talked about that.
We haven't. Is a thing that is actually becoming more and more of a thing. Our grids, right, are more digitized and interlinked than they ever have been in the past, right? So, like, one single geomagnetic event can really cascade across like continents, basically. Like the Carrington event was horrible, but we were really lucky that we were where we were. We're basically,
those power lines. That's about it.
Yeah, and even that.
So for light bulbs, nothing else.
Yeah, so we were very lucky there. If it happens today, boy, that's really bad. So you have to consider things like Faraday cages and, power backups, maybe mechanical power backups like hand crank generators and, bike pedals, dynamos or whatever, and all those kind of things that can really help with that. And then paper and analog things, paper maps and ways to communicate that are analog. Very, very important in this type of event. And so things you want to think about too is you don't want to get caught off guard. You should have an NOAA weather radio for all of
This is
these
so
scenarios.
important, yeah.
It's one of the most important preps you can get, and you can sign up for text alerts and for app alerts in your area, because you just need to be ahead of the game. Information as quick as possible is going to be so crucial. Doesn't matter if it's today, in 10 years, or in 25 years. That's all going to be a very crucial part of your plan. So you need to continue to make that part of it. And you can link up with like neighborhood watch teams. There's like Facebook pages that are like weather watching Facebook pages. You ever seen those, like for your area? Man, people love weather. I do too, actually. Like I kind of want to get into weather.
Well,
is that a weird thing to say?
No. You're
Okay.
at that age now.
It's like I either got to start barbecuing, get into
Watch
World War
birds,
II,
or
watch birds.
Yeah.
Get into weather.
Watch the weather.
Watch the weather. So, and then just be resilient in your power and communications. Again, right? Have solar stuff, have hand crank radios, GMRS radios with battery backups if the cell towers go down, those types of things. Even have satellite messengers.
Yeah.
Garmin, InReach, even your phone can do that these days, the newer phones, right? So just be thinking about that. And then financial and insurance tools, because prepping, like we always get so caught up on the gear stuff, but there's other sides of this that are so important, like the financial resilience part of this.
A huge deal.
Weather is scary, but the weather, then it impacts the markets, and then the markets impact this. And then like all of a sudden there's these cascading events that are happening, and the more financial resilient you are, the better off you're going to be, right, in these things. So think about insurance as part of this. You if you live in a flood zone, you have to have flood insurance, you guys. You have to have, look into wildfire insurance, all those things. There's so many things you can do to help cover yourself.
If you can get insurance where you live.
Yeah, if you can get insurance where you live. That's right. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can't.
No, too many risks.
So anyways, this is all about building a system, water, power, comms, shelter, finances that can handle whatever crazy geoengineered disaster weather that comes our way in the next 25 years.
Engineered, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
That's crazy. Yeah. So, but yeah, are there any specific things that we can do as preppers to kind of either use these geoengineering methods to help us or, counter them or anything like that? So could we use these climate engineering ideas? So backyard cloud seeding experiments. So is it possible that you yourself could do your own cloud seeding?
I don't know.
As much as I've looked into it, no. It's not only there's a lot of legal concerns and stuff with that, but
Probably.
There's also it's just costly to get the ingredients, to have the nice cannon, to shoot the cloud, But like protecting yourself against the changes that could come from cloud seeding, but you're not necessarily going to be able to yourself.
Dang, that's too bad.
I know, it's too bad.
That's too bad.
There are, and I still think these are so crazy, that you can purchase an atmospheric water generator.
There's actually a lot of those.
It's so
out
cool.
on the market recently.
Are there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want one bad.
I do too.
These can be purchased for personal use today. So similar to a dehumidifier, the cool of the air causes water vapor, which is then condensed into liquid water and then can be used.
Yeah, so
you need some power, obviously, for the machine to work, but there's even some solar ones, and then it just pulls water out of the air. How awesome is that?
Dude, you can get them at Walmart.
How much are they? Like
$1,500?
That's not that bad.
It's
water
not
being
cheap.
pulled out of the air.
It's not cheap, but
So I'd assume out here it probably takes 6 weeks to generate a cup.
Yeah, it's like there's 0% humidity most of the time.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
This one, like $1,500, it produces 10 liters of water a day.
A day?
A day. So 10 liters.
Out of any environment?
It says it produces 10 liters of clean, fresh drinking water daily.
Man, I want one pretty bad.
I know, it's pretty cool, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. Use some of this technology and draw some moisture out of the air for yourself.
Heck yeah.
Portable personal cooling tech.
Okay.
Micro, solar radiation protection items.
Okay.
The future will probably bring more of these, but right now, just the basic stuff.
Okay.
Umbrella, shade material, protecting your home. Like I have installed a lot of those films on my windows to, keep heat out or keep the sun out to keep my house cooler so it's not running the air conditioner 24/7. But things like that do make a difference, and you should consider using them. And then there's old trusty, like planting trees, composting, using is it biochar?
Biochar.
And absorbed CO2 to absorb CO2, using it on your property and things like that. Just reducing your carbon footprint, walk, bike, energy efficient upgrades, things like that are probably one of the most important things that you can do to kind of lower your effect on the environment. I know it gets real liberal and stuff like that, but seriously, like it's just more efficient. Like I don't want to pay for power, so like this kind of thing can help just reduce your costs. Yeah. And then let's say things do get crazy to a point to where every prepper's dream is to have an underground bunker. Yeah. And it might be to a point where weather gets bad enough that we could be forced to be, subterranean, start living underground. Yeah. So the pros, obviously, there's stable temperatures. That's the nice thing about basements and bunkers, is that there's no extreme cold and heat. Like it's pretty mellow. Weatherproof protection from storms, wildfires. Also, it's a reduction in energy usage because you don't have to cool and you don't have to heat and things like that. Water, there's access to stable groundwater if you got wells and things like that. It's pretty awesome. Other thing is you're also protected from some of those other extreme nuke threats. Yeah, sure. Intruders, aliens, and you're hidden. Yeah. The cons, obviously, it's underground, so it could flood. Yeah. You got a bunch of weather and you have a hole that's just the access port is not very high and it just floods. I mean, you got a nice fish tank. Now you're swimming. Of all of your stuff. Yep. The air quality, you need to have some really good engineered ventilation. Yep. You can't be down there and just like ride it out and not worry. Just figure your portholes, it's going to give you enough oxygen. Limited light. You've got to use battery or a solar panel or something to give you artificial light down there. And then there's other health problems with that too. Limited light, psychological, just being in a bunker and stuff like that. You've got to consider. And I mean, this is just talking about in the extreme, the craziest events where you end up going underground to avoid all the chaos that's happening above ground. But these are things you need to think about.
Atmospheric rivers and whatnot. Yeah. Got to get away.
Scary stuff. Mm-hmm. But listen, you can plan this all out with this particular device. Yes. From Mad Gear, the name you trust for preparedness, comes Ready Plan app. Yeah. Just like our renowned contingency planner helps you prepare for hurricanes, power outages, and unexpected emergencies, the Ready Plan app digitizes the essential process. That's exactly what we needed for this episode. Organize every detail from specific condition responses and communication plans to evacuation routes and gear checklists, all securely stored and accessible on your device. Plus, easily share plans, coordinate with your family, your prepper buddies, preparedness group, ensure everyone is on the same page. This is more than an app. It's your dynamic guide to readiness, built with the same step-by-step logic found in your physical planners that you should be buying as well.
You should have both, yes.
Developed by the family and veteran-owned Mad Gear, Ready Plan ensures your critical information is always within reach and readily shareable. Don't wait for a crisis. Visit your app store and download Ready Plan by Mad Gear today. Ready, set, plan. Ready Plan by Mad Gear, redefining preparedness for when SHTF.
Yes, and if you go get those planners, use our code Casual Preppers. You're going to get that discount.
So does the Casual Preppers code? Is there
I don't know,
an app process?
I'm not
there?
Sure.
We'll find out more details on that. But seriously, you've got both. Yeah. Digital process fails, you got your physical copy. Yep. Physical copy, you don't use as much, and you want to share it with your group. You got your app. That's the perfect scenario there.
It really is.
Way to go, man. Yeah.
So look, extreme weather, it really isn't just a future threat, although it is. It's like a reality today. Weather is something that we have to deal with. So geoengineering basically just adds a layer of risk and opportunity there. So the true prepper toolbox, spans water, shelter, power, finance, and even DIY weather hacks. So let's talk about the listener challenge for this week. Identify your top climate threats over the next decade. Pick one.
Heat. Heat.
Yeah, heat diarrhea, heat diarrhea. Pick one new prepping strategy you haven't tried. Whether that's N95 or HEPA setups or a different type of insurance or something. Get it, test it, share your results with us. Let us know online
That's cool.
on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, or else I don't know, YouTube, TikTok,
MySpace.
No, we don't have MySpace, unfortunately. We don't have MySpace. But that is Extreme Weather and Climate Engineering, Episode 7, The Future of Survival.
Man, weather on steroids.
Yes,
Nobody
sir.
likes that.
Nobody likes that. Anything else, Cameron?
No.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. Stay survived.